10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
He's back out for a three. Left wing is good.
Deep to right field at the warning track. See ya.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
At the buzzer.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Huge win for Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you. Welcome to Duck Insider. We've got Oregon baseball coming up this afternoon, a 4 o'clock first pitch. Sounds like a great opportunity to maybe leave work a little bit early, enjoy some festivities at PK Park, and then tomorrow we will not have a Duck Insider because everybody will be tuning into Oregon baseball with a 1 o'clock first pitch against San Francisco. 2 midweekers before the Ducks travel to Los Angeles. We've got all that for you coming up. We also, this morning, we're out on the HTC practice fields, and Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, we're going to meet with him coming up in just a little while. He just finished talking to the media as we're going live in the 1 o'clock hour. And then earlier this morning, got a chance to sit down with associate head coach for Oregon softball, Sam Marder, after she was the acting head coach this past weekend. Led the Ducks to a series win over Cal. So we're going to talk with Sam Marder coming up. But we also do have some news announced yesterday. Niara Sabali heading to the WNBA draft. We knew that the roster was going to look a little different next year for Oregon women's basketball. And as Coach Graves said, a lot to Niara Sabali. Honestly, the one thing, and I'm going to talk with our expert on this in just a second, that I think we all wanted to see was the Sabali sisters on the floor together. Unfortunately, never got a chance to see that at Oregon. But you never know. Something cool could still happen in the future. So Niara Sabali, best of luck to her moving forward. With that, to start the show today, it's Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director. How are you, sir?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
It's great to see your face. I can actually read your lips when my headphones go out.
It is nice to be without masks. So, back to normal.
Basketball season's coming to a close. We'll talk about that. Baseball, softball, events are at Hayward Field coming up with a new experience board to talk about. I have yet to talk to you also about the Jake. So many things to cover. So how have you been the last month? A busy schedule?
Very busy. Flying around, obviously, to Vegas for the women's Pac-12, then back for the men's Pac-12. Did the Hall of Honor there and got to see English Gardner speaking of track, which was so great, and hear how well she's doing both competing, but she's also now coaching the sprinters at Princeton University, which is pretty cool. And then on to Knoxville with women's basketball. So it's been a fun-filled travel.
Frequent flyer miles for
keep
Rob
them
Mullens.
coming. And tomorrow or today for baseball, you can go to PK and call it remote work, can't you? You don't really have to leave.
Absolutely.
Work. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I always joke that when we have midweek games for baseball, softball, any sport really, but those are the ones that have them most commonly, I see more people from the athletic department and other coaches than any other time of year because it's, there's not events overlapping, you know. How do you schedule your days out like that when you've got like a weekend like last weekend with so many sports at home?
Yeah, it's difficult, because you want to have a presence to support all the student athletes and coaches. So, this weekend was tough. I made it to baseball on Saturday and Sunday I hit everything. Fortunately, lacrosse and baseball were side by side, although they started at the same time, and then popped over to softball. So it was, it's not easy sometimes, and I know some of our fans get frustrated because they'd like to be at both events. But we're calling Duck Day the Spring Football Day, so there's going to be a chance to see a bunch of events on that day too.
Yeah, it's like you knew I was going to bring that up at some point today. Rob Mullens joining us. Yeah, I'll just say that the broadcaster likes it when the game times are staggered, too, because I get a chance to tune in and keep track of everything. And I just want to say, Rob, for fans that live in the Eugene area, they can bounce around. But a shout-out to the Quack Video crew.
No doubt.
I get the opportunity to work with those guys all the time, overseeing a bunch of different live streams along with the radio broadcast. The guys at KWVA that are – learning their way in the industry. They're trying to do their best, and just a shout out to Scott LeBounty, Alex Stimson, all of the crew that makes it possible, because that's really the backbone of the live stream.
No, it is. And that, like you said, when we have so many events going on, you're able to either and also the media relationship for the live stats. So, a lot of folks are, last weekend we were all watching the golf teams on live stats, and then, catching the web streams of lacrosse, softball, baseball, or listening to the audio stream or the audio broadcast. So there's lots of ways to catch the Ducks, and as you said, there's a whole team of people behind the scenes making that happen so the fans can stay connected.
Well, my apologies when you're stuck listening to just me. You want Jerry, you want Jorgie, you want Terry. I understand the pecking order here, Rob. Basketball season, speaking of Terry coming to a close, women's basketball, best of luck to Niara Sabali. And we knew the roster, Rob, was going to maybe look a little bit different, but still a successful season. These are 2 20-win teams that we're talking about.
Yeah, no, very successful. Obviously with what Kelly and Dana have achieved in our programs in the past, 8-10 years, there's very high expectations that they have of themselves and of our programs. But, yeah, another successful season. Obviously, some ups and downs in there, battling some injuries. We also were still dealing with COVID at the beginning of the year, so trying to find the way. But, yeah, successful seasons, another NCAA tournament appearance for the women's team, a chance to go to Knoxville and experience, that NCAA tournament. March Madness is very special. And if you have a very successful college career, you really only get 4 of those opportunities. So it was fun to be with them. They are a fun group to spend some time with. And, yeah, my congrats to Niara as well. She battled a lot of injury, gave every single ounce that she had to this program. And, yeah, it would have been nice to have her and Satu play together, but it didn't turn out here. It was good that they got to spend a couple of years together here.
Sure. I mean, I'll never forget when Coach Graves said after that tournament was canceled that they were talking about having Niara come and play in that tournament. We could have seen it in March Madness.
It would have. I mean, she's obviously both very special talents, and you saw what Niara could do this year. What she put up 31 against Belmont and was just so dominant at times. But, credit to her for all that she's battled through. And, I think when she gets healthy, she's going to obviously have an impact at the next level.
They're 2 of many examples of the University of Oregon in the athletic department that are international students.
Sure,
Rob. I mean, I didn't think about this until just now to ask you, but that is such a cool aspect of what we all get to do.
Well, one of the neat things about being an athlete at the University of Oregon, it is a huge melting pot. We have student athletes from all over the country, and I don't know that we've measured it in the last year, but a couple of years ago, we had student athletes from 17 different countries within our athletic department. So what a great chance to learn. We've talked about it on here, and we say it frequently. Intercollegiate athletics is co-curricular. So many things learned about leadership, perseverance. We could go down the list. But one other thing is, just teamwork. And really, you become a part of a very diverse group of people that come together with a common cause, and as you know, a lot of them do come from international student athletes.
I think it's amazing to talk a little bit more about basketball too, that game has grown so international.
No doubt.
I mean, we're going to be talking about a number of different athletes that are playing for their country's national teams that have come through these parts. That's cool.
Sure. Obviously, we've had the Canadian pipeline, and then you had Chris Duarte.
Yeah.
We're certainly going to see him playing for his national team without a doubt. So, yeah, and those are lifelong relationships. And again, what a great way to learn from a teammate about another country's culture, about the background. So it's a pretty special experience.
On the men's side, it's amazing. We're sitting here talking about a team that has won 20 games in 12 straight years, and yet it feels like it was a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, 20 games is a big milestone, obviously. But obviously, when you have a team that can go on the road and beat a top 5 UCLA and a top 5 USC, play Arizona right down to the wire in Tucson, which is hard, and then beat UCLA at home, come so close against USC. Again, it was a roller coaster season, and but again, 20 wins. that NIT experience was not the NCAA experience that you'd all hope for, but it was an opportunity to keep playing in postseason.
Sometimes I have to pinch myself that and Dana Altman was the first to say that, 20 wins when we talked post game, but they want to be in the NCAA tournament. That's the standard here, and I sometimes have to pinch myself that you're at a school that's such a high standard. That's what you like, though.
That's absolutely what you like. And when obviously you take a step back and look what we've won 4 of the last 6 Pac-12 championships, and you look at the Sweet 16s, Final Four, Elite Eights. It is a consistent high level of success under Dana and Kelly, and that's what we're all striving for.
Full speed ahead now into the spring sports. Rob Mullens joining us. Baseball today. Haven't got a chance really to talk to you about the PK Park improvements now that the video board is out there. The turf looks awesome. It's just the park really pops, Rob. I mean, just how awesome has it been for you?
It does pop. Obviously, the turf was long overdue, and moving the fence in has proved, Waz's vision of additional offense has certainly paid off. If you love offense, Oregon baseball and Oregon softball are bringing the excitement. You are seeing balls flying out of the park, and when you're in the Pac-12, you're going to have close games. Yeah. So, this weekend at PK and the Jane simultaneously was 2 incredible finishes.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Oregon baseball, by the way, is second nationally in batting average.
Pretty cool.
Puts it in perspective.
And over 300, what is it, 315?
337.
Oh, wow, 337. Sorry, I'm a couple weeks behind.
Well, hey, I don't blame you. They've been skyrocketing up those rankings.
And it's top to bottom. It's 1 to 9. I've heard you say multiple times on the broadcast, and I don't know that anyone's challenged you, that Gavin Grant's as good a 9-hitter as you'll find in college baseball.
Nobody has challenged me yet.
Probably because it's not to be challenged.
Yeah, that guy's hitting well over 300. He's got like 3rd most home runs on the team, and he's hitting 9th.
Right.
What was amazing, too, is when Drew Cowley was in the 2 spot, Colby Shade, who's currently on a 13-game hitting streak, was hitting 7th.
Right. Well, and, baseball can be a cruel sport. Tanner Smith was absolutely squaring the baseball up, and he ended his 12-game hitting streak.
Yeah.
But, on Saturday, I believe, I wasn't there Friday because I was traveling, but on Saturday, his first 3 at-bats, he just squared the ball up. They were just right at guys.
And went 0 for 5.
Yeah, but then on Sunday, the baseball gods paid him back.
That's right. He goes 0 for his last 10 and then hits the go-ahead home run.
Right.
Which is the game-winning home run.
Yeah, and I don't know about all 10 of those, but I know the first 3 that I saw on Saturday were the majority of times those are going to be hits. The exit velo was probably high. He squared them up. They were just right at guys.
I would estimate about 6 of the 10 were squared up. Now, You'll love this. I asked Coach Wazkowski, like, hey, well, that's going to even out, right? And he goes, you can't rely on that. You want to – that's Mark Wazkowski.
Yeah, spoken like a true coach. Yeah, I want them all.
That's how it is. Well, the Ducks are currently first place in the Pac-12, 2 midweekers, and it's cool to see the ballpark popping while the team is popping, and that's what it's all about at UVO.
Yeah, no doubt. And Saturday and Sunday were great crowds. Saturday's crowd was outstanding, and then you think about what was happening at the Jane on Sunday. That crowd was worth the runs that we needed to win that game.
Yeah. Jane Sanders Stadium. It was fun to have everybody back at Jane Sanders Stadium, and I love this. You'll hear it coming up. Coach Marder, Rob, she really shouted out the fans because team had a rough one Friday, bounced back, won the series.
No doubt. Obviously, that's hard to do. And in those sports, when you're playing 3-game series, if you're not at your best one day, you have to get rid of it and get ready for the next day. Because again, in the Pac-12, top to bottom, it's high-level competition. And when you have, as we talk about, that home field advantage, it can bring you out of that, that funk, if you will. And hear Coach Marder say that, but also hear some of our freshman student athletes who are experiencing the Jane, and some of even our sophomores because of COVID, experiencing the Jane at that level. That's one of the reasons they chose Oregon. So it's really cool that they get to experience it.
Spring season is always highlighted by some events at Hayward Field. And I feel like this is the first year where it feels like we really get to experience what the new Hayward Field's all about with fans.
No doubt. Come fill it up because it is the best in the world, hands down. And even if you got to experience it under the pandemic protocols, now we've got the new experience board. And so it's going to be a whole nother set of experiences. It's something special.
Hayward premieres on Friday everybody. So get your tickets now because it's going to be a fun event. I mentioned earlier, I haven't got a chance to talk to you about the Jake. Just what does that mean for men's and women's golf? We touched on it briefly, I believe, last time you were on, but I like to revisit it because you got the number 2 team in the country in women's golf right now.
Yeah, and as my travels happened to I got fortunate. I was in the same city as women's golf last week, so I walked the practice round with them on. My days are running together. I can't remember if it was.
Today's Tuesday.
I think it was Thursday or Friday. It was at the end of last week before I came home on the weekend. And had a chance to walk the golf course. They were playing at Arizona State, and wow, what a talented group. You saw what they were able to do in that tournament. Obviously Arizona State on their home course won, but when you look at the field, we finished ahead of the number 1 team in the country.
Yep, by 8 strokes.
And there were a number of other top 10 teams in that field. And to spend some time with Coach D and Coach Mo and those student athletes, it's a special group, and you can see obviously the talent when you're out there with them. It's quite impressive, but the bond and the communication is something that's pretty special. And now we got 2 women's golfers going to play in the women's amateur at Augusta
tomorrow. Yeah,
which is a pretty cool experience. Yeah. And Coach D's going to caddy, and their family members get to go. Pretty special experience. But the Jake is what we need. Obviously we know what Casey's done here. Won a national championship, been runner-up, built an incredible program. Really showed this whole community what collegiate golf could be like at the highest level. And now what Derek's doing on the women's side, the next step for us is to make sure that we can recruit those top-level golf student athletes by showing that we have a place that you can practice 12 months a year.
Right.
And the Jake will do that for us. It'll give us the opportunity to equip our student athletes with the facility that they need to hone their craft. And as we know, at this level, no matter the sport here, you're working at it just about every single day if you want to be an elite athlete.
Yeah. You're always thinking long term, I know, in your position, Rob, and we could talk about so many different topics of what things are going to look like moving forward, but I'm always curious how you prioritize facilities like that. I mean, it's a tough job.
It is a tough job. Just like allocating resources on an annual basis, it's really tough because our goal is to give everything that our coaches and student athletes would need to compete for championships and have a wonderful experience. The reality is that's not always possible. So, for us, it's a couple of different things. One is just most immediate need. Where is it required? The other thing is connecting with our passionate donors who have a specific goal in mind from a donation that kind of gets the ball rolling. And that's kind of what happens when you look at some of the facility projects that we might do at a PK or the Jake, is somebody helps us get the ball rolling because they have a specific directed interest, and then we're able to build off of that, capture the passion of others, and get an important project done.
Then it snowballs.
It absolutely snowballs, and we're very fortunate to have an incredible group of passionate fans and donors who really embrace the vision, who understand what it takes to compete at the highest level, and who are willing to invest in it with us.
Spring football practice going on this morning. We got more from Coach Lanning coming up, so it's a big push for the spring game. We know that's a big weekend. You mentioned
it's a great weekend, and we really want to welcome this coaching staff and make a statement on the West Coast and throughout all of college football that this is a premier college football destination, and one of the ways to do that is to fill up Autzen Stadium for the spring game. And obviously there's a lot of other benefits. There's other events. We can pack our other stadiums with events that weekend. We can help Food for Lane County. Our spring game has always been a way to do that. We've been a great partner with Food for Lane County, and then also we honor those who serve our country on that day as well. So lots of great things happen today. Would love to see 55,000 out at Autzen to say to welcome to Coach Lanning and the outstanding staff and the student athletes.
First 3 quarters are going to be football. I mean, we're talking like a regular football. They're going to do a full scrimmage. Fourth quarter is going to be a little bit of fun with some of those returning alums that are coming back to call plays. DeAnthony Thomas, Eric Armstead, Haloti Ngata, Michael James. I feel like we're going to see a lot of running plays for some reason.
Well, I don't know. Everywhere I go with Dan, everyone I introduce him to, the number one question is, what's the offense going to look like? So if you want to see what it's going to look like, come out to the spring game.
That's right. No doubt about it. And also fan interaction is going to be a thing going on in the fourth quarter, everybody. And it is a busy day. I mean, soccer's at 11 a.m. at Pape Field. Events all day going on at Hayward Field. You've also got, of course, around the spring game, right outside Autzen Stadium. Baseball's first pitch is at 3 o'clock. Softball's at 5 o'clock. That's a staggered day.
It is a staggered day. And how cool would it be on Sunday to be able to say we had a full Autzen, a sold-out PK, a sold-out Jane, and then 1,000, 2,000 people just watching soccer. That would be a strong statement of where Oregon athletics is, and it would be something that our student athletes would absolutely feel.
Challenge accepted.
Let's do it,
Rob. All right, I'm going to let you go. Usually we take a break, but we've got to hear from Dan Lanning, and I'll be honest with you, Sam Marder was so good that we talked for about 10 extra minutes today.
Oh, awesome.
So thanks for the time.
Did you guys break down hitting?
We actually, to be honest with you, talked a lot more about how they went about calling a game, utilizing Brooke Yanez, Tara McGowan, and Nikki Reagan. It was kind of call pitches by committee.
What a great experience, and that just shows you what a student athlete who might be injured can contribute to a team.
That's right. That's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was a really cool story, so fans are going to kind of take you inside that process. So Rob, thank you. Do we miss anything else you want to say?
Oh, no. Let's see you out there for first pitch, 4 o'clock.
All right. I'll be there.
Remote work. I'm going to be there.
You're welcome in the broadcast booth.
I might sneak up there.
All right.
I like being right down in the action and,
I know,
and hearing the –
I know where your spot is.
Hearing the goings-on.
Yeah, I always know where to look. If you ever want to know, just end of the dugout right near the photographers. That's where you'll find Rob
I tell you
Mullens.
what, if I disagree with an umpire's call and instead of getting in trouble, I might just walk up there.
Well, I don't know. We might get in trouble.
You don't need to see me get set to my car.
I understand. I understand. All right, we're going to get timeout. Come back here from Dan Lanning after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Thanks for calling Toyota. This is Jan. How can I help?
Hey, Jan. Say, is now a good time for a new Toyota?
You bet it is. Now through April 4th is the perfect time to shop for a RAV4, Tundra, Tacoma, Corolla, and more. Imagine yourself in a RAV4. Where would you go first?
Skinny Al's Barbecue.
I'm imagining you inviting me.
Let your imagination run wild at your participating Toyota dealer. Ready, set, go get your Toyota today. Toyota, let's go places. Dealer inventory may vary.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Spring practice back underway. Dan Lanning with some new faces out at practice. It was fun to be back out there, I got to tell you, everybody. And Coach Lanning had a lot to say afterwards.
How we rolling? Right into questions? Fine. If anybody got a question, feel free. But you had Noah Whittington and Coda Rise among the additions. What just walks through the process on Noah in particular, because that seemed to come together pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a guy that we had, a background on with Coach Lachlan, coaching him before. So a guy we were familiar with, and once he became available, so a guy that we thought could help our roster and benefit us.
And now that you can talk about Chase, just what do you hope he brings as a grad transfer? He's obviously played in the league and an in-state guy and that kind of presence.
Yeah, I think this place means a little bit to Chase. You can see that he's intelligent. Like you said, he has experience, so certainly excited to see what he can do out there.
Justice is also new to this team, and Florence as well. Just what can those guys do? What are the expectations for a freshman mid-camp like this?
You don't set expectations. You go, one day at a time, and today was one day. And we still got to watch the film. Obviously, walking off here, I'm sure it was spinning a little bit for him today, as you think it would be first day. But I don't want to set it too high or set it too low. They're going to set the level of their expectation by the way they perform and the way they practice day in and day out.
This is veterans' first day back after a couple weeks off. What did you think of how everybody handled that?
Yeah, I thought there was some juice. I thought we could have had another level of juice. I want to see it take it to another level. The intensity there, the focus is there, but we have to push ourselves in practice to be the best that we want to be, and I think we can take it up a notch. I was hoping for a little bit more.
Is J.J. Greenfield back with the team?
Yeah, he was out there today.
We saw him.
Yeah.
What was the process of getting him? Because I know he was on last year's roster, but he's not on this year's.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone through his own process and, been in the area. He's going to school here. He's a guy that, wanted an opportunity to come back, and we wanted to give him an opportunity to see what he can do.
I want to get an update from you about Don Johnson, because his son had tweeted last night. It sounds like things are in a positive direction there, but if you could share an update on it.
Yeah, I think, as we know right now with Don, it's still very serious. It's still a very, a serious deal, but things are trending in a way that you're very hopeful. I think thoughts and prayers are continued, and we got to keep, hoping for the best.
To play some guys on the staff with the league and Brent moving on. Have you figured out how you're going to be filling those spots?
Yeah, we always have a plan kind of for what's next. It's not really a stumble deal. It's next man up. We usually have a good idea where we want to go.
You said before how important position flexibility is. With the young guys, is that something you start them out with, or do you kind of want to let them get used to college ball a little bit and avoid that overload?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, at the end of the day, for us, each guy's a little bit different, right? How fast do they pick it up? Are they drinking out of a water hose, or do they have it figured out? And we're going to give them as much as they can handle. So if he's able to handle multiple positions coming in, then we want to be able to do that.
Where do Harrison and Devin fit?
They're working an inside linebacker for us right now, learning both the money and the MAC. That's when we talk about position versatility, it's not going to be stuck on one or the other. It's the ability to kind of do both.
Coach, obviously Bo Nix is a guy that you've gone against 3 times. You've obviously spent a tremendous amount of time thinking about him, game planning against him. Just curious how your perception of him as a player, as a person, has maybe changed now that you've had some time to work with him more hands-on.
Bo's really what I thought he was. He's, an extreme competitor, super smart. He works really hard at it, and I think he's really intentional. I think he would tell you he has a lot of things he can get better at, and I certainly agree. There's a lot of things that he can improve on, but he's attacking those every day, so I'm pleased to see that.
What do you want to see from the quarterbacks as a group, both this week and heading into the first scrimmage a week from Saturday, so really the next 5-6 practices?
Well, certainly one positive today is the offense had some explosive plays out there, which was exciting. On the same note, we also had some turnovers that I don't want to see, right? I thought we could have been a little bit better in our 2-minute scenario there at the end of practice with our offense and the operation there. So good job on the explosive plays, but we want to take care of the ball going forward.
One of those early enrollees in the DBs. With such a young cornerback room, what kind of steps are you kind of hoping to see from that group in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, we want to throw them in there early, let them get some experience, and see how they take. I'm not a big believer in having guys learn and watch from the sideline. You want to be able to get mental reps when you can, but you can do that by getting reps. So we're going to throw those guys out on the field, coach them as we go. If there's things we can improve on, that's what we want to focus on.
How much does that help to bring a guy like Christian, a proven Pac-12 guy, into that room?
Yeah, I mean, having Christian here, obviously, coach's familiarity with Christian was certainly a benefit as well. And I think it shows up on the field, his experience. He's used, but there's a lot of things he's still learning. This is a different system for him, and certainly a different process for him and some stuff that he can improve. But having Christian here is certainly good for our program.
Walking off practice, what's the first thing you're going to watch on film? You mentioned you haven't watched film yet, so what's that first thing you want to watch?
I'm always checking for efficiency. I'm always just want to see how can we be better and more efficient in practice, talking about our players and our coaches, and then effort, right? There's a lot of things. You can draw up a lot of things on the board, a lot of X's and O's, and the reality is none of that matters if you're not playing hard. We want to make sure our guys are playing fast and playing hard.
Is there anybody who's caught your eye so far who immediately checks all those boxes? It's just kind of that guy every day?
I don't think so, not yet. I mean, we've had 2 pads without practice. We've had, 2 practices without pads, right? 1 padded practice so far. I think it's really too early to certainly crown anybody, and every one of our guys, I think, and coaches still have a lot of improvement.
How do you think the culture, how are you establishing that? I guess it was a 17-day break. I know people were all over the place, but was there something how are you maximizing, I guess, your time in terms of instilling?
Yeah, just as much time as we can be around our players as possible. I think we try to take an invested interest in our guys, and our guys are doing a great job. I mean, that's a two-way street, right? They have to be interested in being in, and we have to be interested in having them involved, and they've done a great job with that, and so have our coaches.
Going back to when you were assembling your staff, obviously Tosh was finishing up the NFL season, so it took longer there from that aspect. But knowing him as you do, how did you see him evolve as a coach after 3 years in the NFL, where obviously he was really successful at numerous different stops and at Alabama certainly, but how did that NFL experience, how did you see that NFL experience change him?
I mean, ultimately, you look at the guys that he's coached in the NFL and the success that those guys individually have had. His defensive lines have been really good wherever he's been. But I love the fact that Tosh has been exposed to a lot of different systems and been able to carry some of those best things to our place here. And we're going to integrate. We're going to do a lot of what we do and what I'm familiar with and what Tosh is familiar with. But at the same time, taking what he's learned in those last few stops in the NFL is super beneficial to our players.
I was going to say, with simulated pressure in particular being something that you've certainly done and Matt's done a lot of that Tosh was not doing while he was there, but even now seeing this offseason that Nick is bringing Dave in for their clinic, and that's clearly going to be something they're doing. Do you feel like that you were at the forefront of that and that movement within the sport? I
mean, I'm a big believer in it. I think it makes you certainly successful, the simulated pressure piece. But if it's all you do, there's a way to attack it, just like anything on defense. So we have to be multiple. That's certainly that exposure for us is good. It won't be the only thing that we do. And he's familiar with it. He did some of that before in places he's been, so it's not, completely new to him. But it's something we will definitely carry.
You mentioned doing 2-minute drill. How often do you do that this month, where even just a period or two in practice, you cut it loose and kind of play football?
Yeah, we're going to try to create situations in practice a lot, right? And, today was 2-minute. It's something we can coach off of. We had a lot of 3rd and long emphasis today in practice, right? But we're going to try to create situations because we want to model the game as much as possible within practice and then coach those situations on film.
You said you're going to emphasize special teams more in the scrimmages themselves, so probably a week from Saturday would be when you start to pick that up a little bit.
Oh, we're doing special teams every day. It's the first thing we do from flex. So I don't know if you guys are getting out there in time to see that or not, but the very first thing we do from flex period is going to special teams, and that's part of the emphasis there for us there. I think the place that we're different is how we do special teams. We break it down into more of an individual mode in a lot of our drill work, and we're still getting several special teams periods within practice as well beyond that period you see.
That's one of the things I was going to ask was previously Stumble Bum was one of the first things, and that's such an iconic thing from where you'd been before. Is that still part of the thing, or is that just not something that Joe does?
Oh, it's a huge piece of the equation for us. You're talking about Stumble Bum in particular?
Yeah.
Oh, we did that day one.
Okay.
Yeah, we've done that. That's a piece of something we've carried, but that's certainly not the only thing. If we do go out there and do Stumble Bum all practice, we're going to have a lot of other things we got to work on.
Joe, where you'd been, the save the block technique on special teams particularly was a core principle. Joe does, from my understanding, scrape the paint. It's a little bit different in terms of it's not hands up. What's your thoughts on how what you're looking to implement? Will it be what Joe looks to do with that on special teams on returns and that method versus the save the block?
Joe has a great understanding of exactly what I want from a special team standpoint. At the end of the day, we want to own the ball. We want to make sure we have no penalties, right, and put ourselves in best position to score. We're going to create explosive plays on special teams. We're going to try to be dynamic on special teams. There's a lot of different techniques we'll coach within each phase of that. But the key is you put an emphasis on it, right? You're not going to be successful on it if you don't spend time on it.
With Friday being pro day, I know these are obviously players you inherited and you have a chance to coach, but it's always a big day for a program and a big opportunity, and you have a top 10 projected guy going to be here and stuff, and former players, Anthony Thomas here. What are you hoping to see from these guys on pro day and what that opportunity will be for them?
Well, I'm just proud that they're coming here to represent Oregon, and I'm excited that the teams that are coming here to see players that played at the University of Oregon. Obviously, this is a place where you can do it all, and the Pro Day is going to be, a great culmination for that opportunity for these guys that came and played here.
Following up, is JJ on scholarship then, or is that something you can share?
No, he is not.
Has Eugene felt more like a home to you, and what have you liked about this town so far?
I mean, I love being outside right now. I love the environment. The the culture, that we have and the alignment from top to bottom is obviously really special to me. I think that's something that's unique here. We have a true vision. I enjoy looking over and seeing our athletic director at practice, seeing people that care about the program at practice. That certainly matters to me, and our players. I think we have an opportunity to coach some of the best and attract some of the best here at our program. And I think you see that with the way we operate. But certainly a lot of room to improvement. First day of school yesterday for my young guys, so that was fun for them. They're loving Eugene. My wife's loving Eugene, so this has been a real blessing for us.
Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, meeting with the media after practice today. Oregon back on the spring practice resume. Resume? Why did I say resume? Schedule. I don't know. Menu? A CV? I don't know. They're back on the practice fields on Thursday and on Saturday. The two coordinators for this team are going to meet with the media this week. We'll have those interviews for you on Duck Insider as soon as we can after practice. When we come back, Sam Marder, Oregon softball head coach for the weekend. She was the acting head coach with Melissa Lombardi out. The associate head coach, Sam Marder. Talking with her next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To some, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much, but that's not true. They're testing out vowels and consonants and trying different sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on meaning, especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. We've got Sam Marder here, associate head coach, Oregon softball
We're back.
coach. Thanks for being here. I got to tell you, I'm so glad that Coach Lombardi was like, okay, earlier this year, you got to get Sam Marder on the show. I don't want to do the weekly appearance. Sam Marder's got to do it. Our offense is killing it. And then you guys faced some adversity last week. We've been talking about it on the show, and I want to go back in time, if you could, just from your chair for the entire program. Take us through the weekend. I mean, you find out that Coach Lombardi's not able to be with you. Good news is that Coach Lombardi's doing well, everybody. I know everybody was concerned, and she's going to be back with the team, it sounds like. I mean, just take fans through the process. What was it like?
Yes, no, it was a wild weekend, and I think that is just how Pac usually is. Nothing is easy in Pac-12 play. And especially this year, I mean, everyone is good. I think that everyone right now is in the top 40 for RPI. And, I read something the other day where if you're looking at the top, the top 41 in the RPI, you have 21 of them, top 21 all SEC, top 31 all Pac-12, right? Wow. And so you're talking about a huge part of those top 40 teams are coming in our conference.
That really puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
It just shows just how competitive the Pac-12 is this year. And It's a credit to all the head coaches in the pack for making it a priority, saying like, everyone in this conference is going to be really good. Everyone in this conference is going to be, not just postseason contenders, but looking to make runs in postseason. And so it makes it great. Every weekend is, like Coach Lombardi said, every weekend's a super regional weekend.
It's good practice.
Yep, it is. I really believe that the teams that are tested the most, that have the hardest road, are the ones who make the longest runs in postseason.
Yeah.
So it was great, but it usually is just enough, it being Pac-12 series and then having your head coach out. Definitely it was the hardest, I think, on Coach Lombardi to have to, it's your team and having to sit at home and watch, and she did a great job. We prepared during the week, and we prepared pregame. We were prepared, we recapped postgame and prepared for the next day postgame, and so believe me, we were in it pregame and postgame, the entire weekend. But for her not really being able to, do anything during the game, I know was the hardest on her.
Yeah.
So we're just really excited to have our head coach back today.
And I love to hear that. I love to hear that, just the passion, because I was thinking about that when I got word. I texted her and she was like, "Yeah, this is torture.
No.
This is," and I can only imagine. But you guys were able to do your jobs, right? I mean, you guys took 2 out of 3, and I'm curious for fans, what was the adjustment on the staff? Like, just take us inside the coaching roles. How'd you guys approach it for the weekend?
Sure. Well, I think what's really, really great about this staff is Coach Lombardi does such a great job of giving all of us autonomy over our fields, right? And when you're rolling as a staff, right, you want to really feel like you have head coaches of different categories.
Yeah.
Obviously Coach Lombardi is going to be the head coach of everything, right? But she also specifically is the head coach of the battery, right? Of the pitchers and catchers. And you have Coach Reagan, who's going to be the head coach of our defense, and I'm going to be the head coach of our offense. And then it's pretty lucky when you have Coach Liss, who's coming in as another coach, who's an All-American outfielder, right? Who knows what it takes to not just compete at the highest level, but also compete in the pack, right? And so she adds that element to our defense and our offense. She assists both Coach Reagan and me every single day. And so how it kind of shifted was what was great about it is that nothing on the offense or the defense had to change. And that's a huge, if you think about it, that's a huge part of what you're doing.
Sure.
Right? So I'm still the head coach of our offense. We're still preparing the exact same way. We're still doing the exact same things in game. How it adjusted, and Coach Reagan's still doing the same things on defense. She's still on our shifts, and Coach Liss is still doing the same thing in the outfield and getting our team prepared. And how it kind of shifted, though, was you had Coach Reagan now take on more of a role in terms of pitch calling and in-game prep there. And what was really incredible is you had Tara McGowan step up and help with our battery. And a lot of people, they look at our staff and they see a lot of great things, but you don't realize, Coach Lombardi is one of the, not just the best pitcher developers in the country, one of the best pitch callers and plan makers, in the country. And I think that that's what people don't really realize, when you're losing her, in there. And so when we were evaluating, saying, okay, who is going to take this over? I've called games and throughout my career. Coach Reagan has, been a head coach and has called games, and we felt really confident in our ability to prepare for Cal and know, opposing swings, know opposing plans that we would do to call them. But the hardest part is we're not in the bullpen every single day with our pitchers. We know our pitchers, we know their stuff, right? But there's things that you just don't know not being in there every single day. And then as we're discussing this, we're saying, Tara can call a game. Tara can call the game with Coach Lombardi there. She's been in this now for multiple years with Coach Lombardi. She's been in the bullpen, every single day with them. She knows these pitchers better than anybody. And that, I think, was such a huge turning point when we were thinking of our plan. We're thinking, how could we not use Tara, right?
She basically became your bullpen coach.
She did. Yep, she did. And her being right there. And I think that she also just gave the pitchers a lot of confidence, saying, they trust when Tara's calling something. They have not to say they don't trust us. They do 100%. But when you have your catcher who's been with you saying, this is what I know you can throw, it kind of takes the thinking off of you as a pitcher a little bit. So she was right there. And then Brooke, Brooke who's been in there too, knows Coach Lombardi as well as anybody in what she would call. I mean, you had the two of them right there calling the game with Coach Reagan, and I think that was the coolest thing of seeing how we, how we really made adjustments as a staff to including the two of them into our plan.
Sam Marder joining us, Oregon softball associate head coach, the acting head coach for this past weekend. So how does that work? Are you 2-1 now as an acting head coach?
I'm done now at Oregon.
You're done, that's it?
I'm telling Coach Lombardi I have a winning record as a head coach.
That's good.
I'm walking away. I've won my Pac-12 series.
Yeah.
She can have it from here.
I love that. I love that. You guys, though, you touched on battling through some adversity.
Yeah.
Last time you were on, we talked about that, how you guys have had injuries. And then it's so cool for me sitting here, it's like the fan, to hear about, like, Brooke and Tara. And you're talking about players that are injured, but they're still helping the team.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know, just take fans inside the dugout, if you will. Like, that just seems like, to me, a cool facet of your team's culture. And the way that you guys lost a game Friday, came back, won Saturday, Sunday. I just think all of that says a lot about this group. What do you think?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. We're having a pizza party today after practice.
Oh, really?
We're calling it our Coach Lombardi pizza party.
All right.
So
she's back.
We are celebrating Coach Lombardi being back. We're celebrating winning the series.
Wait, does Coach Lombardi know that's
She
happening?
knows.
Okay,
She knows.
Ooh, just
you got to get that approved by the head coach, before you put it into play.
Do you have to get the Gatorade bath approved?
No, that's
coach?
never approved.
Okay.
No way. Coach Lombardi would never approve that. She doesn't. She doesn't want that spotlight on her, and then we'd get the hair wet. And can't do any of that. So
then you got to fly home, and you got wet clothes. I get it.
Can't do that. No, the Gatorade bath is never approved.
Which is part of why it's awesome. We're going to continue with Sam Marder. More coming up. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Talking softball on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece, and it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys! I love this song! I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Oregon baseball in action, 4 o'clock today. Got a question. I think that Oregon baseball can compete for a Pac-12 title. I do. They're currently sitting in first place in the Pac-12 standings, but now you got to take care of your midweek opponent in San Francisco here. Oregon softball, they're hitting the road to L.A. this week. When we continue talking with Sam Marder, we were just joking about how, hey, this is a team that has a lot of fun, having some fun with their head coach, but they push this team hard too. We continue our chat with Sam Marder.
You know, we push these women so hard throughout the fall. Our expectations are so high of them, and we hold them to that standard, right? And I think that it's equally as important that we celebrate, when we do really, really great things and we overcome hard things. So for them, having a little fun time, I think is going to be great for them. And so it's the last time we're gonna celebrate anything that happened last week because it's time to move forward. We got a big weekend ahead of us, and we'll start that at practice today for sure. But just from a fan's perspective, in the dugout, it was awesome this whole weekend. I think that people really elevated their games. I know that our players felt our intensity even higher after game one, and we challenged them in that way. We said we have to raise our intensity level, we have to raise our competitiveness, and that's what you have to do. When you get – that was as bad of a game I've seen us play in all three levels and facets. And part of being a good team is – one, moving forward, right? It's just accepting okay, we put a bad game moving forward, right? But also it's learning from that. It's watching that film back, right? It's seeing the adjustments that we have to make because we still can win a series. And I was really proud of them by not just hiding from their mistakes, right? But seeing them straight on and saying, okay, tomorrow, these are the adjustments that I'm going to make to win this game. And then seeing the pitcher who dominated us game one, right, coming back and saying, okay, we're not going to get beat by this pitcher twice now, and seeing the adjustments to be able to make. And everybody's stepping up, talking about Brooke and Tara, but everybody else too.
You talked about, just some people stepping up, and you had some young bats that really stepped up in a big way. And I know a lot of fans are wondering, hey, are you going to get players like Tara McGowan back, Paige Sinicki back? I don't know if you have an update, but then also the people that filled in for them, they've done a nice job for you. You guys are still winning games.
We talked about this a lot, and even preseason I talked about this, our depth, and I think that is – we needed it, right? And we felt that in January. I mean, we had people in and out all of January, and we talked to our team every day saying, guys, look to your left and look to your right. You might not see these people here tomorrow. With COVID, at the time, COVID was really, really on a high at that time. We had some just unlucky injuries, and it felt like every day we had a new team out there. And while it was unfortunate, it also forced this team to learn how to win with who was on the field that day. Yeah. And I think that when you're seeing people like Kai Lushar, right, come in and out and come in and not only come in but be put in a leadoff spot, right, game two. And you see Allison Benning, right, who has done the same thing and then be put into a starting role. Yeah. And then you see Jazz Williams, who's come back and be put in the outfield and the infield, and then she was starting shortstop all week. And you're seeing so many players be put into different roles coming in and off the bench. And what I love right now with this team is that people aren't really getting caught up in themselves individually. They're getting caught up in our team winning. And that's not a cliche. That's literally I think this team just got very caught up in us winning this weekend.
I think it was cool to see a player, a veteran like Rachel Sid also have some big moments for you. And she's had a few of those, it seems like, last few weeks, getting hotter and hotter at the plate.
There's not enough to be said about having a veteran, especially a Pac-12 veteran in your lineup. And, for Rachel, never concerned about her confidence level, never concerned about her ability to compete. She's very steady in that way, and I've been really happy for her to see her start to come into her own. And I've been so impressed that her mentality, at least if her mentality's gone down, she's hiding it from me because really? I don't think I haven't seen her confidence shift at all, as she's going maybe in and out of success. And she's done so well in Pac-12 play, which has been huge for us, right? Sure. She had a huge weekend series at Utah, had that double to kind of start that inning off, and obviously a huge weekend against Cal, and that's why we moved her up, in the lineup because of how well she's been doing. That's
cool to hear. All right, I got a couple more final thoughts for you. One, just about the fans. You and I touched on this a little bit during the break. Just the way that the fans rallied for you guys, I know you wanted to shout them out today. Yeah, I'm so thankful for them. As a staff out there, again, you don't have full strength, right? And I really felt like while our players stepped up around and filled bigger roles this weekend, our fans totally did the same thing. That was so cool to hear. Comparing fans to the players, man. Sam Marder, associate head coach for Oregon softball, had the chance to catch up with her, and it was outstanding talking with her. Fans did the same thing. Shout out to the fans at the Jane. That was awesome to see. When we come back, go through the schedule for the week. It's a busy one on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Time for our Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look, a proud sponsor of Oregon Athletics. Established in 1993, Oregon Imaging Centers would like to remind you that you have a choice in your medical imaging provider. The choice is yours. Choose Oregon Imaging Centers. Well, we're going to look at the resume for this Oregon baseball team. Don't look now. This is one of the best teams statistically in the country, and the metrics back that up. Oregon entering today, number 4 in the RPI on D1 baseball. They're 16-7. They're number 4 in the RPI, and they have a number 3 strength of schedule. Ducks have put together one of the toughest schedules in the country. In fact, the number 1 RPI team, Dallas Baptist, is number 1 in strength of schedule. Guess who's number 2? It's a team that's on Oregon's schedule this year, San Diego. Oregon split that series. Not too bad, huh? Number 2 in strength of schedule is San Diego, and then it's the Ducks at number 3. And I actually said they split. They actually lost 3 of 4 at San Diego. Now, though, Oregon sitting in first place in the Pac-12. Ducks number 4 in the RPI entering play today. Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look, the inside look at the Oregon baseball schedule, resume. There's resume. That's what I was looking for. 4 o'clock first pitch. See you at PK.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan